Hey, why are you staring at me? Oh. I spent a lot of time at markets making micro crochet keyrings because it passes time while I'm in between serving customers, and it's a nice portable small thing to do. It also tends to draw people into my booth because they want to know what I'm doing, they want to talk about it, and it spurs a lot of questions to be asked. If you're new here, hi, my name is Molly and I crochet, sew and I make wax melts products. I'm trying to make and sell 1,000 keyrings, and I thought I would answer some of my most common questions that I get and show you some keyrings that I've made recently, including this little penguin. And then at the very end, I have a question for you based on a new style, I guess, of micro crochet keyring that I'm debating making. So if you would like to give your input, that'd be great. Thanks for watching. Starting off with this little duck keyring. One of my most asked questions is, how do you get them so small? And they are probably around an inch big. And I do make full-size plushies that come out to be about this big using the same patterns. And I use a 0.9mm crochet hook, which is very, very tiny and does not want to focus. This one is Clover. I got it off of Amazon for just under $8, and it's the second one I've had because at my market the weekend I managed to lose my first one. Not sure if it's in the car somewhere or if it's gone for good. It's likely that it is gone for good, which is really sad. But now I have a new one. It's tiny. I used a 1mm hook for a while, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like how the finish was. These stitches are a lot tighter, like completely. Like this is just the finish I like with the yarn. The second keyrings I want to show are these little jellyfish, and I opted to not give them eyes. I have I think it's dark blue, like a royal blue one in my display, or like in my market stock, that has eyes, but jellyfish don't have eyes normally. And I know we add eyes to everything, like including food, to make it look cute in the crochet world, but I kind of like them being real jellyfish. I also wanted to make a pink one and I started it and just didn't finish it, but we have two of these. And then one of my other big questions I get is, how do you see the stitches? So as you can see, that is very, very tiny. The answer mostly would be you kind of just get used to it. Like when I first started to crochet or micro crochet, I couldn't really see where the stitches were, but you just get a feel for it. You just get like in the motion, and it gets a lot easier to identify the stitches as time goes. But I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't get a magnifying glass if you're like really struggling and you really want to micro crochet. Like this is a rose petal, and you might be able to see a little bit. Like it's actually not that bad. I think when you were looking at it from the perspective at a market, it looks a lot more overwhelming than it maybe is, and it is definitely something that the more you do it, the more you get used to it and you get better. And a lot of the time I'm just like, I know how far to move the hook to get to the next stitch. I'm not really like looking at the stitches that hard. I've made probably hundreds of these now, and yeah, you just kind of get used to it. And it stops being like, oh, how can I see the stitches? Like it's not really that bad when you're actually working on it. Penguins. I really didn't like this one when I was making it. I was gonna do a bright blue for the base, but it just seemed to clash with this blue. I struggle with things with these blues. This is the colour of the other octopus I made. I really struggle with this blue. I just don't love it a lot. But I think it's come out okay now that I've come away from it and seen it like a few days later. And then I made this purple one yesterday. Purple is my favourite colour, can you guess from the nails? I kind of wish I'd used this yellow, but I've been using this yellow for the feet and beaks for so many things lately that I decided to take a step back from it and use a different yellow. I don't love how harsh this yellow is, whereas this is like, this feels more like autumn cozy vibes, and penguins are cozy. The third question I get you asked a decent amount is what yarn do I use, and I use little bits of loose. I use mostly Hobby rainbow lace because it's perfectly shiny when you actually work with it. Like you can see the shine. It's my favorite. It's a good way. It works well with the hook. I just unpicked that. I got this orange elsewhere and it's just not shiny enough. Like it just doesn't have the feel to it that I like. It's fine. Could be better. Button. I got some variegated yarns from elsewhere that I do like. They're not as shiny as the Hobby ones, but that's okay. They do look shiny when they're on the thing though. Like this is, you get more for your money, I think, than Hobby. This one's quite used, but I don't think they were this big when they came. And like it actually does look pretty shiny, so maybe it's just the variegated ones that aren't, but I love them. I mean, you can see the yellow variegated here, and I'll leave a link for that in the description because, and for also the Hobby ones, because they're the two I think I'll stick with from now. Did you have a big sleep? Is it almost lunchtime? Yeah. Okay, so I made a pink lion and I need to make I think at least 2 yellow lions. I think I'm gonna make one in a light yellow and with like a golden, like this color mane, and then I think I'm gonna make a bright yellow with a brown mane. Maybe I make 3. I made a pink one because I just really needed a pink one in my life. I thought it'd be really cute, and then someone commented on my TikTok video of it saying that they thought that this was not a lion. They thought I was making something else, and now I don't like it. Not a fan anymore. But here's my pink lion, and I get a lot of people ask me, I need to move the keyring slightly so that it doesn't like lean forward. I get a lot of people ask me if I can make them this, that, or the other. All of these are on my website, along with a lot of other ones, I believe. Hello again. What are you doing all the way up there? Yeah, so you can buy these on my website, basically. I got distracted by the cat and the keyring. Okay, I fixed it so it doesn't lean anymore. You coming back? No. I do occasionally like gift them to vendors because it's really fun. If I can find a vendor that at my market that has something distinct about their branding or something they're wearing, or we have a little chat and I pick up on something they've said and I figure out that they particularly like an animal, usually an animal, I will make it, if I have time and the colours, I will like make it secretly and then go and gift it to them during the market, which is just like a fun thing to do. But like otherwise you do have to buy them because I am a business and you I can't make them for free for everyone. I just do the thing for small businesses at markets because it's fun. That's all. And it like tests me to make things that I wouldn't normally make, which is always good fun. Here's a little elephant, and this guy comes with a story. I made one of these the first time, and I took it to the first market that I had little micro keyrings for, and a kid had been eating chocolate and had melted chocolate on her hands, and she picked it up. Not this one. She picked it up and got it all chocolate. I need to move the keyring. She got it all chocolatey, and it's sitting in the bottom of a bag somewhere, I think in the car. Because I was gonna try and get the chocolate off, but I didn't, because I was like, what's the point? And I finally made another one in the same colour. It was one of my favourite keyrings. I love this mint green. So here is that. Revived, remade, and hopefully it won't end up with chocolate on it again, because if so, I just think we'll never make one again in this colour. I get people often commenting on my TikTok saying, can you make this smaller? And probably, but I don't like how the shaping goes. I find when you use a smaller hook and like sewing thread, it goes a weird shape. I don't find it works up as nicely. It just doesn't look right with smaller thread. Like some people use sewing thread and it looks, what they make looks amazing, but it just isn't for me. Maybe I do something wrong. It just doesn't look right. It goes misshapen even though it's the same pattern. So this is probably a small I will go like for my business. I might for little challenges try smaller. I also just think this is like a good size, and for a keyring, I've gotten to the point where I've still done that wonky, where I can work them up reasonably fast, that it's worth it for my time, for how much I charge. Because if they were smaller, or if I used smaller yarn or thread, it would take longer probably, and I'd probably, to get the same size charm, I'd have to use a different pattern, and it would be more rounds, more stitches, take longer. But this just works really well. I should say that most of my patterns are from Microcrochets, I think that's how you say that, I'm not 100% sure. Some of them are mine that I use for the keyrings. There's just a certain number of rounds and stitches. I try not to go above anything that has 30 stitches in the round as like a maximum. That seems to be a good size, like birds. The biggest point is 30 stitches, whereas the biggest point for the elephant is 24, but it's a little bit longer and a little bit more complicated. No sew patterns for micro crochet are going to be an absolute lifesaver, because you don't want to have to sew things on. Although I have a question for the end, which does involve something that is not no-sew. Question number 6 that I get all the time. This is actually probably like my second most common question. But first, here's a flamingo. I have a more flamingo coloured pink that I need to make one in. I think I'm gonna make 3 more flamingos because I have some pinks I want to use. But here's my flamingo. Loads of people, most people actually, that come and talk to me say, is it hard to do? And yes it is. It's harder to crochet something this size than it is to use acrylic or the fluffy yarn, because it's smaller, the yarn doesn't stay together as well, because, I don't know if you can see it, it's like twisted, like 2 strands twisted together, and a lot of the time when you're trying to crochet, especially at the very beginning of the magic circle, it just pulls one of the strands and then it breaks, or it like, it just doesn't flow as well as a fluffy yarn does, where it's kind of one thing with lots of fibres, and it can be more frustrating and it is harder, and I think it's a lot easier to think it's going to be bad. Like, these don't work up to look good until they're like halfway done, whereas you can kind of see with the bigger yarns how it's going, that it's going to look good. But yes, it's harder. It's harder to sew things together. I have to sew the eyes on. I think you can get 1mm, no, is it 3mm safety eyes, like glass ones? But I don't want to use glass on my keyrings because it's something that I'm expecting people to like knock around. So I do sew the eyes on, which is harder. I have found if I sew the eyes on, I do it before I've sewn the bottom or like the last bit together, because he's my cat. Because then you can go in from the opening and sew the eye and then come back and sew that all together without having to try and like push and knot through part of the stitching, because the stitching is really close. Other than that, I think one of the most useful things for like making this not as difficult, because they're kind of tricky to start, is a angled pair of tweezers. That is fantastic for stuffing them. Or using scissors and having them ever so slightly open, so it kind of gathers in this opening and you can really stab the stuffing in there. But yeah, overall it is harder to do. I think these keyrings probably take me like 1.5 the amount of time as the like plush versions I made. The last keyring is a little blue possum. I think these and the ducks are probably, maybe the elephants, are my 2 best sellers. People love a possum. I've never made a blue one though. This is my first blue one. I made it at my market at the weekend. I usually do light grey and dark grey. The dark grey is slightly more popular than the light grey, but I made less of them because I didn't have the grey until recently. Here's this little guy. I usually will sell a micro possum and actually a possum plushie at each market. Did sell a micro one at my last market and sell a plushie. My plushie I've got has been around for a couple now, but they're cute. I think my favourite one is the duck, but the duck in this green. I've made one with that, and it is my absolute favourite, and I make so many of them. And they're usually my more popular ducks of all the different green ducks I do. So that's cool. And then my question is, I've been debating for a while making, because I made a few full-size full-sized animals, micro animals that come out about this big, using my patterns, and I've been wondering about using just the head part to make a keyring, because it is not like sustainable for me to make and sell the actual plushies. They just take too long. I wouldn't be able to charge at the time, and I'm wondering about making just of their heads, because I do have fluffy plushies that come out about this big. They're kind of similar of the animal head patterns I have that I designed, and they're really popular. So I'm wondering about making micro versions of just their head. They are harder to do, harder to make. They take a little longer, but I think that's cute. I think there'd be a fox, a mouse, a giraffe, a cow. I could do an elephant, but I don't know if I want to because it's gonna be a lot of work. Maybe that'll be an online exclusive because I'll price it slightly different. But let me know what you think about ones like this, because I already have like the full body, which is, this is not my pattern, this is Haru Crochets, if that's how you say it. I'm wondering about little animal head ones, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it yesterday, but when I made it, but now I kind of do. I feel like that would be really cute on someone's bag. And like I'd have a giraffe. The fox would be cute for autumn, fall. And then also I'd be motivated to make more of like different animals, because I can also do them as keyrings. And it's a cool way to see things in a different form. Yeah. Let me know if I should make more of these. And all of these will be on my website by the time this is uploaded. included, so. Along with various ones in different colours, and if there's a particular colour you want, you've seen it on a different keyring, just email me and ask me for the animal and the colour combination. I can make a listing, I can make it. I have loads of this yarn. Like, this is going to take me a very long time to get through, because fortunately they don't take a lot of yarn, they just take more time than other keyrings, and I'd appreciate it if you would like to buy one.